All right, I'm going to do a video about what's the difference between someone who is mentally ill and someone who is not mentally ill. And I think the explanation is actually very simple. What it comes down to is people who are mentally ill do not trust themselves, and people who are not mentally ill do trust themselves. So, you got to question why is mental illness such a huge issue in modern societies when it was not an issue all throughout history? Do you think that's natural? No, obviously not. Because if it was natural, it would have been happening since the dawn of time. You would have had a lot of mentally ill people. And here's the other thing. You also got to realize it's an industry. Realistically, and this is fact. This is logic. If if therapists and psychologists and psychiatrists, if they were good at their job, they wouldn't have a job because they'd be curing everyone. So, what's their incentive to cure people? The whole medical industry nowadays, they're just drug salesmen. That's all they are now. And you know, I don't, I can't, I don't think I know any therapists, but I feel like probably a high percentage of them have absolutely no business telling anyone else what is or is not mentally ill or sane or insane, because in order for them to function within this society and to, you know, to be who they are and do what they do, in my opinion, most of them are probably mentally ill. I would like to talk to, I'd like to talk to, some of them, to be totally honest, and I would like to question them. Um, but it would probably not be a very positive experience because I find them annoying. I find the whole thing annoying. I feel like they are. It's in the modern world, most of the people out there pretending to be solving problems, take the government for instance, they're creating the problems and perpetuating the problems. They're not solving anything. I mean, it's we live in such an upside down lunatic asylum. I mean, here's the thing. When you really think about it, the people have who blend right in these societies and they function well. Why is that? What is it that what do they are they gifted people? Or here's the thing. Here's what it comes down to. The people who function best within these modern societies are the people who they don't question anything. They see the situation, they look for ways to take advantage of it, and that's as far as their thought process goes. Then they spend the majority of their money trying to escape reality. The reality that they created by trying to succeed in this modern Western society. For example, look at celebrities. So you think celebrities are rich and famous because they're super good at what they do? No. They're rich and famous because they figured out what the owners want. They figured out how they were supposed to act. They figured out whose ass to kiss, and that's what they did. And they got thrown the little rewards that they wanted. And that's how it works, just like a dog. You know what I mean? I do love dogs, don't get me wrong, but the harsh truth is most dogs would be just as loyal to anyone who fed them. That's the difference between dogs and wolves. Wolves don't perform in the circus. They're gonna do what they want to do, and they're not they're not gonna be controlled by people. So, um, they've shaped modern man in a lot of ways into dogs, where our loyalty goes to the people who give us what we want. So, you know, people put these labels on themselves. And look, I'm telling you, I've been in the entertainment industry. I've seen people who will literally become gay or trans, not because it is who they are, but because it's gonna get them success. You know what I mean? Um, Cat Williams said it himself. They do have these humiliation type things. That shit is real. Um, and I gotta say, thank God I didn't succeed in the entertainment industry when I was younger, because I do believe I could have been shaped into one of these dogs who's gonna do whatever little trick you tell him to do, as long as you keep that dog food coming. You know what I mean? So a lot of people will put a label on themselves, and it's because really I think what it comes down to is it's they feel in a subconscious part of their brain that this is going to help me get what I want out of this world. When really, if they were really a deep thinker, they would know themselves better, and they would know that I don't align with this at all. But so these are the types of things that lead to like mental illness. To put it real simple, the truth sets you free. So this is the way I see it. If you're always willing to seek truth as opposed to pushing this narrative or that narrative, then you're always going to be mentally healthy. You're always going to be sane because no one can really manipulate the truth. The truth is the truth, and no one can change that. What is true and there's what is not true. And if you look at things through that lens, I believe you will be pretty mentally healthy. Here's the thing. A lot of people, look, I've said it before, I'm saying it again. Lying is not only normal in our modern Western society, it's encouraged. Everyone lies on their resume. Everyone lies about this. I lie about my age. But it's like I'm aware of it. You know what I mean? Um, it's like ask yourself, when was the last time you told a lie? Because a lot of people, they do it unconsciously because they don't want to see that aspect of themselves because lying deep down, we all know it's wrong. So here's the thing. When someone tells enough lies and they push enough false narratives, eventually they're not going to be able to tell the difference between the truth and a lie because they've been lying to themselves and they've been lying to everyone else for so long. They don't know what the truth is, and I believe that is the root cause of mental illness. It's like they don't trust themselves. They don't trust themselves to find the truth because they've been pushing bullshit for so long. um, there's this influencer named Hassan Abi, I think his name is. I don't know much about the guy, but I've seen enough about him to know that the truth means nothing to a person like that. To a person like that, what matters is the political issues that will further the agenda that he has been trained to push. So when he's trying to make an argument or you know, make a logical statement, he's not thinking in terms of is this true or is this not true? He's thinking in terms of is this going to push the narrative that I'm trying to push or is it going to push a different narrative? So when you're when you're doing things like that and subconsciously or even on some conscious part of these people's minds, they've got to believe the bullshit otherwise they wouldn't be able to push it so convincingly. So if you feed your own self enough lies and bullshit and you regurgitate enough lies and bullshit, eventually you're not going to know what is lies and bullshit and what is truth. So you know, and a lot of these things happen subconsciously. You know what I mean? People put a label on themselves, like Hassan Abi, for instance, that is like this super duper leftist. So He lets that label dictate how, how he's going to act and what he's going to say. It's unhealthy. And a lot of people hate the guy, but you got to realize that he is not hurting anyone but himself in the long run. He's doing more damage to himself than he is to anyone else. People see him as a threat and stuff. Here's the thing: the people who share that same label are going to agree with him, and the people who decided to plaster a different label on themselves are going to disagree with him. Now, here's the thing: the people with the other label are just as brainwashed and confused as he is. This is why I do lean more right nowadays, but I do not consider myself a conservative by any stretch of the imagination. In my opinion, the Republicans and the conservatives, that shit is in the past, bro. They're controlled opposition. Just look at them. Did you see this thing in Congress recently with the black chick and Marjorie Taylor Greene, I think her name is? They're like fighting like it's Jerry Springer. These are the leaders. Look, they're all fucking idiots. You know what I mean? They're all pushing bullshit. It's a big show. Stop following these goofy clowns and stop letting them dictate who you are. Reject the labels. Like I said, there's people out there who are literally changing their own sex because they they chose that label. You know what I mean? Look at the percentage of gay people in the 80s. It was a very small percentage. Look at the percentage of gay people in 2024. It's a way higher percentage. It's like 30% higher or something. If it was natural, that percentage would never change. You understand? So you got to realize the impact that propaganda has. This is why, look, I, I think it's important to have kids and to perpetuate the species, but I, I'm grateful I don't have any kids at this point because, first of all, there's a weak point. People can control me through my kids if I had kids. I, you can't threaten me, but if you threatened my family, if I had one, I'd have to do what you say. I can't let that happen. So, but me personally, you can't. They can't threaten me with anything. I try to reject all labels. I try. I'm not saying I do. I try. Um, it's hard to know yourself truly, but I'm trying. You know what I mean? Um, so you know, I've come to a point in life where I've lost everything more than once. I know from my own experience that there's other forces at work that are more powerful than man. Um, there was times in my life where I was starving. I needed a miracle. I got a miracle. Watch my previous videos if you want to hear those stories. But so I'm at a point in my life where they can't really threaten me with anything. I don't want to be homeless. I don't want to be out there broke. But I do know that there are more important things like my self-respect, like my spiritual evolution, like you know how I am as a person. Um, at the end of my life, am I going to stand tall in front of the creator or am I going to be slumped over, embarrassed, and ashamed? You know what I mean? That's what matters. So, um, what was I just saying? I was about to make some sort of point, but kind of slipped my mind. So, um, hold up. So, when you think about it, by nature, none of us fit into these categories. We choose. They give us these options, and we choose. These options for labels. We choose the labels. We put them on ourselves, and those labels end up dictating who we are. Now, that type of stuff is going to mess with your mental health. So, and it's not just that. You know, here's the thing. Here's it really. What it comes down to is you got to find the truth. I know people who hate their job so much that they can barely do it anymore, but they tell themselves that they don't hate it. And That's a lie. So you can sit there and lie to yourself about everything. You're not doing yourself no favor. It leads to mental illness. So you got to learn to be honest. You got to learn to read yourself. You got to learn to analyze your own thoughts and feelings. When you're sitting there lying to yourself about one thing, you're probably sitting there lying to yourself about a whole bunch of things. You know what I mean? When I was younger, I came to the harsh realization that I cannot spend the rest of my life like this, working for other people, doing jobs that I would tell myself I liked construction. And the truth is, I do like construction. But I do not like having my fate in other people's hands, especially people who are not loyal. You know, I like physical labor. I like being out in the sun. Um, if I was being paid a lot to do it, I'd be doing it right now. But I cannot leave my fate in other people's hands. The other thing is, I also realized when I was younger, the working class gets screwed over way harder than anyone else. Um, the poor, the government just provides everything for them. They give them cheap or free housing. They give them cheap or free food. The immigrants, cheap, free housing, cheap, free food. Um, but they're trying to turn them into the working class. And once they get to that spot, they're going to learn real quick that now they're just going to milk you until you die. But you know what? They come here to get a bunch of free stuff, I think, most of the time, and reap what you sow. Go get milked. Good luck to you. Um, but so you know, you people got to learn to stop letting the propaganda machine drive them insane by teaching them to accept lies as truth and accept insanity as sanity. Um, and you got to learn to trust yourself and stop trusting in the corrupt people who control the world. If you want proof of my conspiracy theories, go on my Patreon. I'll probably never put it on YouTube because here's the thing. Most people don't deserve to know shit, and that's the truth. So, I I don't go around telling everyone everything I know. You know what I mean? Um, because first of all, it's a waste of time. What's that saying? Don't throw your pearls before swine or some shit. So, even if I had $10 million, I my Patreon would still be just the way it is. I'm not putting that shit out there for everyone because I don't even want everyone to. Most people, a lot of people in modern Western societies, they don't even deserve to know much. You know what I mean? Um, it, it, we got to stop. You know, the politicians are horrible. They're corrupt. They're dishonest. They're criminals. But here's the real problem. So are we. A lot of us are too. They wouldn't be able to rule over us if we weren't acting like them. And think about it. Most people, if you put them in that position where they can launder billions of dollars, and who cares if it's going to kill hundreds of thousands, millions of people? Hold up, I gotta sneeze. Now, ask yourself, if you were in a position to where you could get filthy rich and have all the comforts and all the luxuries and everything you ever wanted, but on the other side of the world, hundreds of thousands of people are going to be suffering and dying. And how many people would stay broke and honest and not take that money? I don't know. I can tell you what I would do, and I've been to the bottom. I've been homeless. You know what I mean? So, that's not really what this video is about. But here's the thing: you we got to stop. We got to fix ourselves. Once we fix ourselves, the government is going to fix itself. It's Everything is connected. You know what I mean? If we were honest, dignified, honorable people, we 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 would not have goofball clowns in our Congress fighting like Jerry Springer and people like Joe Biden who can't even stand up on his own. None of these people would have any power. You know what I mean? They only have power because we are not what we should be. But one of the reasons we are not what we should be is because a lot of people are not looking for truth. They're looking for whatever narrative, whatever agenda it is going to please the people who are going to give them what they want, like a dog would. You know what I mean? And look, I love dogs. I grew up with dogs. I would have died for my dogs, and my dogs would have died for me. But the harsh truth is, I do believe if we had given our dogs to someone else and that someone else was feeding them and petting them and loving them every day, them dogs would have been just as loyal to them people. You know what I mean? So, um, hopefully this video makes sense. I feel like I've been all over the place. Um, but look, my mind's a little scrambled. I just spent the last like 2 days partying. My buddy rented a house up at Rainbow River. I gotta say, these spring-fed Florida rivers, there's some magic to them. I went into that river when I was real hungover. Swam around in that crystal clear, beautiful water. You could see the fish swimming around under you and shit. So I swam around in there for like a half hour, and when I came out of there, I was no longer hungover. I felt like $1,000,000. I felt great. I couldn't believe it. And it's funny because Ponce de Leon claimed to have found the fountain of youth in Florida, and I think maybe it's because of that beautiful spring water that we were swimming in, and you just come out of it and you feel like $1,000,000. And I'm a saltwater person. I love the ocean. I love the beach. That is that's what I prefer. I was never a huge fan of freshwater, but after swimming in that crystal clear, cold, refreshing river, I felt like $1,000,000 when I came out of there. I tell you what, man, if I ever get filthy rich, I am buying a river house up there, and I am going to be in that river all the time. Uh, Maybe I'll have a beach house too, but I got to, salt water is healing too. Anyway, I love the water, bro. I've been swimming almost as long as I've been walking. I can shred water for hours. I'm comfortable in the water, man. I love the water. And yeah, that felt really good. But so, anyways, let me recap this video. So, what it comes down to is look, you want to be mentally healthy, you want to be sane, always look for the truth, even if it's a hard truth, even if it's the type of hard truth where you got to change your whole life. Because, look, don't tell yourself you like it if you don't like it. If you're living a life that is not making you happy, the first step to changing that and fixing it is admitting that this is not it. This is not making me happy. I got to change things. I might have to face some hardships, but you know what? The truth is going to set you free. So don't let this propaganda machine and labels and corrupt leaders, don't let them drive you nuts. Don't let the therapist put a band-aid on a gaping wound and you know rearrange the chemicals in your brain so that the lies won't bother you as much. Look, I'm not a therapist, but like I said, if they were any good at their job, they wouldn't have a job. So, um, I guess that's the end of this video. Oh, the new Red Dead Redemption video is going to go up tonight. Yeah, I've been gone for 2 days, so I'm catching up on a lot of things. And yeah, I got to respond to some comments on Patreon. But yeah, so I appreciate every single one of y'all. Thanks for the subs. Thanks for the likes. Thanks for the comments. Thanks for the tips. Thanks for the insults. I appreciate all y'all. Um, and I guess oh, thanks for the Patreons especially. Um, and I guess that's about it. Yeah, the new Red Dead. Those videos are entertaining. I gotta say, I watch them myself. But so yeah, that's on my other channel. I'll link it in the description. Appreciate every single one of y'all. If you want a response to the comment, try to get it in the first 30. I read probably the majority of the comments, but I can't respond to all of them. So yeah, appreciate every single one of y'all, and I'll see you on the next one. Everybody have a good one.